Okay, we should be live now. All right, again, for the record, this is CCL 21C069. I'll ask for appearances by counsel and the parties.
Courtney Shelton, attorney for the department.
Carly Anderson, standing in for Cyndia Hammond, the attorney ad litem.
Patricia Smith with CASA.
And the record will reflect that Ms. I've lost her.
And she's still on there.
Ms. Williams, are you there? You are. Okay. I just couldn't find you. There's several faces in the crowd there. You're still with us, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is the nature of today's hearing?
I believe this is just a 60-day hearing, status hearing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How's it going?
Well, Judge, if you recall at the adversary hearing, Mom and Damian Lawson, who is dad to the youngest two children, were both present on the hearing. The nature of part of the removal, the basis of it was that Damian has been arrested for continuous sexual abuse of Carly, who is the oldest child of Stephanie. And that
but she's not a subject of this case, is that correct?
She is, Judge. She is. Her father is Marcus Williams.
Okay.
And he's also incarcerated in our jail for, I believe, like resisting arrest and evading arrest, some misdemeanor charges. At that last hearing, both Stephanie and Damian agreed to have absolutely no contact with each other or with Carly. Since that time, they have continued to have contact at least 2 to 3 times a day. When she found out that we were able to monitor her phone calls, that she was calling from her cell phone, she has now been calling from his mother's cell phone. Not only that, they are having video phone calls where they engage in sexual conversations, engaging in sexual acts over the video conferencing. And then she will promptly show him pictures of Carly, who he is alleged to have engaged in sexual contact with, her 12-year-old daughter. So it is clear to me that Stephanie does not have her daughter's best interests at heart. It is very appalling to me that she would even consider showing him pictures of her 12-year-old daughter that he sexually assaulted and had a relationship with. So at this time, we are requesting that Mom's visitations with all of her children be suspended.
Okay. Let me hear from the ad litem.
Your Honor, I was able to speak to Carly and Stephen, the 2 oldest children. They both have supervised weekly visits with their mother, and they want those to continue. Certainly, I did not give them the information that Ms. Shelton just announced to the court. I simply asked them how their visits with their mother were going and what they would like me to report to you on that. They said they did enjoy the visits with their mother and they wanted those to continue. Stephen even asked if they could be a little bit longer.
What's the time frame now?
I don't know if it's an hour or 2 hours. 2 hours.
2 hours per week.
Okay. Who's representing Ms. Williams?
She's not,
Anyone?
not at this time, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Williams, I think I told you at the last hearing that if you're unable or unwilling to hire a lawyer, you could apply to the court for a court-appointed lawyer. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Last time you didn't ask me for one. Those are pretty serious allegations the department's making. Do you have a response to that? Is
I
that,
would like a lawyer.
pardon?
I would like a lawyer.
Okay. Let me see who, Mr. Albertson's already in this.
He's not in this, Judge, but he represents Mr. Lawson on his criminal charges.
Oh, okay. Are you employed, Ms. Williams?
Yes, sir.
Where do you work?
Berkshire's.
What do you do there?
I'm transferring as of Saturday. I just transferred back to Atlanta as a deli clerk.
What are your earnings there?
9 to 25 an hour.
And how many hours a week do you work?
36 to 38. This week I only worked 30. It varies.
And is that your only source of income?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and appoint Ms. Hammond to represent you. It's Cynthia Hammond.
Judge, Miss Hammond represents the kids. Carly's just standing in for her
I
right
see
now.
that. Well, I need to find someone who's not involved. Who's not
Be-
involved?
Mr. Lee or Miss Blackman.
Okay, I'll appoint Paige then. Ms. Blackman, you're appointed to represent Ms. Williams.
Okay, thank
Did
you, Your
hear-
Honor.
Did you hear the allegations that the department was making about her continued contact with certain parties?
Vaguely, if somebody could sum it up in 2 sentences or something, I might be better off.
Ms.
I was
Shelton,
listening, but not listening.
go ahead.
Mr. Lawson is incarcerated for sexually assaulting Miss Doss's daughter, or Miss Williams' daughter, which is his stepdaughter. She's 12. And they agreed no contact between Miss Williams and Mr. Lawson. And they've continued to have daily contact, more than once a day, and engaging in sexual activity via video conferencing.
Okay, I have one question, Your Honor. Is Jamie Lawson involved in this in any way?
No.
Okay, all right. I've represented her before, that's all.
Apparently not.
Okay,
Okay. Ad litem?
Your Honor, I would just report that the older two did say to me that they wanted to continue the visits with their mother, but I did not give them the information Ms. Shelton reported today, of course.
Okay. What about CASA?
Your Honor, I know that the children are placed with family. I've actually visited the 2 younger ones in person. I've done virtual visits with the older 3. I was supposed to go see them this week, but unfortunately the placement had to cancel. And so we rescheduled that for later this month. So I've not been able to really talk to them too much about this. I know that the visits with their mother goes well, according to the department, but I do have the same concerns at this point. The fact that the mother's not supposed to have contact and she continues to do that. And the children are going to begin counseling next week with the CAC Center.
Okay. Well, my preference is to give Ms. Blackman an opportunity to visit with her client, reset this matter. Stopping visitation is, very serious. However, it may be warranted. I'd like to hear more about what's going on, and I'd like for Ms. Williams to have some legal advice and give Ms. Blackman an opportunity to come up to speed on the case. I don't know what I have. I don't have my calendar in front of me, but probably in about 2 weeks. Not next Friday, but the following Friday. Does anybody have a calendar?
It'd be April the 30th. I'm not available that morning. I could possibly do it that afternoon.
And that's criminal arraignment, Judge, on that day.
Oh, is it?
Yes, sir.
That's not a good day then.
I'm free that Monday, May the 3rd.
We
What is
have two cases at 9 a.m. on the 3rd.
And then our regular docket day is that next Friday, the 6th or 7th, whatever that Friday is.
May 6th or 7th?
The
7th.
7th.
Your Honor, I can probably come up to speed by the 23rd unless there's an issue with someone else's calendar.
Yeah, I won't be here on the 23rd.
Okay.
Well, let's see. Today, what is today? 16th?
Yes, sir.
What's the May date? The 6th or the 7th?
The 7th.
Okay. Let me reset it for the 7th. Existing visitation is what?
2 hours per week supervised by the department.
Okay, I'm going to cut it back to 1 hour until we have the hearing on May 7th. And on May 7th, I'll make a decision about whether to stop visitation altogether. Anything else we need to cover in this case?
No, Your Honor.
Oh, Your Honor.
I would simply ask that Ms. Williams get in touch with me as soon as she can.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Williams, you're living in Atlanta, is that right?
In Linden.
In Linden? Okay. Ms. Blackman, do you know how to get in touch with Ms. Blackman? Do you have her contact information and so forth?
I do not.
Do you have a cell phone?
Yes, sir.
Can you message with it?
Yes, sir.
Why don't you give Ms. Blackman your cell phone number and she can message you on how to get in touch with her.
Okay. It's 903-799-0360.
Did you get that,
Okay.
Ms. Blackman?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Blackman's going to advise you as to what your legal rights are in this matter, and we'll proceed forward from that point. Okay, this is reset for May 7 at 9 a.m. Parties to this case are excused. Ms. Williams, you may sign off. What about the Rollins matter? Mr. Alverson in that?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, let's take that one. CCL 20C 421, interest of a child, Rollins, Craver. Find my notes on that. Okay, again, this is cause number CCL 23-421. I'll ask council to make your appearances along with the parties. Do we have anyone in the waiting room that needs to be in this case?
I doubt it, Judge.
I only see Ms. Singleton, Ms. Price, Lindsay Edge. So okay, go ahead.
Courtney Shelton, attorney for the department.
Paige Blackman, attorney for the child.
Patricia Smith with CASA.
Jill Black, CPS.
All right, and Bridget Rollins is the mother. She does not appear. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And the father is unknown.
Correct.
Okay, go ahead.
Your Honor, yeah, Roger Craver was recently found not to be the father. We did non-suit him. At this time, we do not have an alleged father. Your Honor, we have not, we did serve Bridget Rollins, but at this time, she has an active warrant by the county, has not been located. She has never appeared before the court, so we are requesting termination in this case. The foster home where Acene is placed, I think that's the correct word. Is that correct? Acene? Yes, I'm getting a yes.
Asen.
Acene.
Yes.
Acene is placed, is an adoptive placement. So we would just request a final hearing date, and then I don't know if we really need to appoint an attorney for mom since she's never appeared before the court to request an attorney.
Has she been served?
She has, Judge.
Been served, not answered, never appeared. Is that correct?
Correct, Judge.
I don't think I can presume that she's indigent. Of course, she would have to be shown to be in opposition and indigent. Without her ever appearing or furnishing me with any information, I can't appoint her a lawyer. So, at least unless and until I have some contact from her, I'm not going to appoint one. And you said the father is unknown at this point, so I guess there'll be a paternity registry search.
Yes, Your Honor. Has there been one yet, Ms. Black?
I believe so. I would need to look it up and see. Miss Hill she unmuted, so she may have an answer for you.
It has been conducted and filed on February 22nd.
No one is filed as the father of the child then?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, how much time do you need for the final hearing? Can we set it in May?
I would say so, yes, Your Honor.
And is Ms. Blackman, are you available in May for final hearing in this case? You're muted.
Which day, Your Honor? I'm sorry.
May 7, I believe, was the date.
Yes, sir.
Is that a
Okay.
regular CPS day?
It is?
Okay, yeah, sure.
All right, I'll set this matter for final hearing on May 7 at 9 a.m. A court-appointed counsel and does not appoint counsel at this time until we hear from her. And she has been served. Anything else in this case?
No, Your Honor.
All
No,
right,
Your Honor.
we'll proceed to final hearing on that date then. Let's see. I'm trying to find one that Mr. Alverson's not in.
Adams Lowry.
Okay. Let me find that one. Okay, that is cause number CCL 20C 438, interest of a child. The Devin Adams, Lucas Lowry matter.
And this may be where that name that we don't recognize.
Edge.
Yes, she may be from Kirkpatrick. I don't know.
Okay, let me see then.
I know that Devin had been calling in on somebody else's phone.
Ms. Edge, good morning, can you hear us?
Yes, sir. Can you see me or no?
Cannot.
All right, I need to share video. Start video. Is that it? Just one. Oh, there we go. Good
Very
morning.
good. Good morning. Do we have the right case then, Ms. Shelton?
Yes, Your Honor, that's Devin.
Okay, I thought it was. I thought I recognized her. She looks good. How you doing, Devin?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Okay, let's have appearances.
Courtney Shelton, attorney for the department.
Carly Anderson, attorney ad litem.
Patricia Smith with CASA.
And Devin, you need to go ahead and tell us who you are so that appears in the record.
Devin Adams.
Is Mr. Lowry attending today?
No, Your Honor.
No? Okay. All right, go ahead.
Your Honor, Devin is still at Kirkpatrick. She's doing great. I'm not sure if she's has a discharge date yet. Yes. Okay. I'll let her inform you on that. I do know that she's had some UAs. They've all been negative. Miss Anderson and Miss Smith have been to her grandparents' house in Louisiana. I don't know if you recall this, but we couldn't approve her to go back there because of issues with criminal background checks and that sort of thing, because we never did get them. But I'll let them speak on that matter. If the court approves her taking Cheyenne back there, we can continue to send her for drug tests in either Marshall or Texarkana, just whichever one she prefers. And I think she is lined up for a job there. So if the court approves her going back there, upon her discharge, we would request a monitored return of Cheyenne to Devin. As far as Lucas, Shelby has talked to Lucas's mom, Wendy Lowry, and she was supposed to have Lucas call Shelby, but she never did. I mean, he never did. So we've had no contact with Lucas Lowry, and I would request that there be an order or be an order in this order that he have no contact with Cheyenne Lowry.
He's not had any up to this point?
No, Your Honor.
Since you went into Kirkpatrick?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
It was part of the court order at removal that there be no contact till he complete his drug tests, and he has not done anything, so.
Okay.
He was participant in that hearing, and you ordered him to go that day to participate in a UA and a hair, and he did not.
Okay. He's not attempted then to visit either? Okay. All right. Ms. Adams, you want to speak for yourself?
Yes, sir. You just want to update on my.
I do. Yeah.
I'm doing wonderful. I have a discharge date of the 29th. I have successfully, my counselor just left out and told me to inform the court that I have a successful completement of treatment. They are very proud of me. I've gotten all my certificates. The certificate that I will be getting it's just one, but if we need to do them individually, they don't mind that either. So I've completed my, what are the names of the classes? Parenting. I've had my parenting classes, the safety classes. There's about 5 or 6. It's just grouped into one for the in-house facility, but I've completed all those successfully. And my 90-day, like my complete, I don't know what information to give exactly, but I know I've completed everything and I'm doing great. And Cheyenne is too. I have a job waiting on me as soon as I graduate from here on the 29th. They've set me up in Louisiana, which I have 2 plans. I do have a plan for Texas if the courts want me to stay here, to put Cheyenne and I in my own apartment. And I have a couple of jobs that I can go apply for and probably get, with assistance from KFC, they're going to help me get in the door. And then I also have a job promised with, it's a vet's office, their grooming company. And so they're going to look into putting me into school, but it's a guaranteed 9 to 5 kind of thing. As soon as I get home, they're just waiting on my return. And so from there, I've done just personally, I've grown. I feel a lot better. Lucas and I are not together. I have not spoke to him. It's been quite a while. So there is no, he's not invited to my residence to see me without Shane, but him and I are no longer together. So.
Well, I'm impressed that you have 2 plans for one thing. Which plan do you prefer if you were giving your preference?
My grandparents, the reason, and I was going to touch on this, we had my grandmother's background check. She was approved. We had all that information sent in to Miss Jessica, but my grandfather is bedridden and he's confined. He's on oxygen. And so he can't make it to the courthouse to get that approval. That was remember we had discussed before, to do his background check. So that being said, the doctors have given him they told us that he probably won't make it through the summer. My grandmother is elderly and I would like to be able to live there with her and take care of her for the last little bit of time that I have her. So that's my childhood home. And Cheyenne and I mean, they could probably give you a little more detail in the house, but Cheyenne and that's our home. And so I would like to return there. But like I said, I don't mind if I need to stay here to comply with drug testing and all that. I am working on getting a vehicle. I have about a little shy of $3,000 to put down on one. So I'm kind of waiting for the last few moments here before I purchase one. But I will be able to come to Texas to Texarkana or Marshall, I think she said, to continue my drug testing if needed, if we go to Louisiana.
Do you have work lined out in Louisiana or just over here?
No, sir. The job that I have lined out is in Louisiana. It's through yes, sir. It's through the vet's office I worked for before Lucas and I got together a couple years ago. And so I have some places that I haven't submitted an application, but we've talked. So it was we were kind of waiting till we got to here today. I was kind of waiting to see what the court wanted me to do before I put in some solid paperwork with them. But there are about 3 or 4 businesses here that the CCC program, it's an aftercare program for the rehabilitation here, that they have a foot in the door basically to kind of help us get started. So it would be I could go to work at any of these couple places that they're in with. And that would be for here in Texas. So the vet's office, I mean, the grooming business is in Louisiana though, with my mom is actually it's her family and friends that have offered me the job. So it's part of my support group, which that company particularly, they know that I'm in rehab. They are aware of where I am. And like I said, they're real close family friends. And so they're part of my support group once I leave here. So they're willing to work with me when it comes to doing it, because I am participating. And this is not through CCC, but I have been getting online on my free time here and attending AA classes and NA classes. And so they're willing to let me take time off if I need to drive to Texas for drug testing and to make arrangements for me to follow up with my AA program or NA program from here.
Okay, thank you. Attorney Ad Litem.
Your Honor, several things. First of all, I'm very happy with Miss Adams' progress. I know she's been working really hard and she's very dedicated to the program there at Kirkpatrick. Second of all, I'm certainly in agreement with Miss Shelton's request that Mr. Lowry have no contact with the child or Miss Adams. As was touched on earlier, the court requested him to drug test at the initial hearing. He did not do that. He also assured the court
It really wasn't a request.
It wasn't a request.
No.
No, let me rephrase. The court ordered him to drug test. He also informed the court that he would meet with Ms. Shelton and myself. He never did that. So after that hearing, he just vanished, basically. So I think he's been a downfall for Miss Adams, for lack of a better word. I think as much as she can separate herself from him, I feel like she has all the tools to be successful as long as she can continue to not get drawn back into his world. Third, Ms. Smith and I were able to go to Miss Adams' grandparents' home. The home was appropriate, in my opinion. Her grandfather is, I don't know if we could ever get a background check on him, but he is, he was in his room. He did not come out. He clearly has some very serious health problems. So I believe if Miss Adams goes to her grandmother's, she's going to have to find places in Louisiana and make sure that the expenses are covered so she can comply with her discharge plan there at Kirkpatrick. So that's going to be one issue that I see, but I feel like having the family support will be good for her. As long as she can comply with her discharge instructions from Kirkpatrick. She's going to be very busy with the job, which her mother mentioned the job when we were there, so that's a good thing. And she's going to be helping take care of her grandparents and Cheyenne, so hopefully she wouldn't have any time to think about much else.
Yeah.
So as long as she can make sure that her outpatient requirements are met through the state of Louisiana, then I'm happy with that, with the move to her grandparents' home.
Casa?
Hey, Your Honor, I'm also in agreement with Attorney Latham and the department as well. We are also proud of Devin. I think she's done very well through this case as far as taking care of business and doing what she needs to for the sake of Cheyenne. As Carly said before, we went and visited the home. I feel like it's appropriate too. I didn't see any concerns there. I just hope that she does choose to be around family because I think she does need that support. So, and Casa's happy to stay on the case and monitor that and make trips out to Louisiana just to kind of keep a close eye on things. But I think she's doing quite well and we're in agreement.
As far as what the department's asking for today, exactly what?
Well, a monitored return beginning to mom beginning on her discharge date, Judge.
Okay. And no contact by Mr. Lowry?
Correct.
Okay. Well, I'll approve both of those. And I will also approve her relocating in Louisiana if that's what she chooses to do.
Thank you.
And I can only say, Ms. Adams, I wish that all of my cases were like yours. It'd make my job a lot easier.
Thank you.
But I'm really pleased with your efforts, and I'm pleased with the help you've gotten there at Kirkpatrick. We've had some success there in the past. But as I'm sure you learned, they can only do so much, and then it's up to you to take the ball and run with it, so to use a football euphemism.
Yes, sir.
So congratulations on that. And look forward to concluding this case in the near future.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything?
No, Your Honor.
Your Honor, 180 days from that discharge date would be October 26th, so that would be the new dismissal date.
Okay. Okay, because of the monitored return. Okay, well, I would anticipate dismissing it before then, but we'll see.
Yeah, we talked about reviewing it July the 2nd, Judge.
That sounds appropriate. Let's do that. Anything else?
No, Your Honor, not from this department.
No, Your Honor.
All right, good luck, Ms. Adams.
Thank you.
You may sign off.
Judge, I believe Gary's in the waiting room.
He is. Are you back in your office, Mr. Alverson?
I am, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, I guess was your hearing with Judge Miller online as well?
It was, Your Honor. I had two of them this morning, and we got pro se lady didn't show up, and we had to call her on the phone and wait on her. So that's why it took so long.
Okay. Well, let's see. Ms. Shelton, you may choose the next case, whichever one you're most ready for right now.
Did you say Miss Singleton was in the waiting room?
I did.
Is she the only one left in there?
Price, there's a K Price, and Jamie Williams for some reason is still there. I don't.
Well, it's Jamie Williams. Yeah, we haven't heard hers yet. I'd say let's do Miss Singleton, the Singleton Jimerson case, and knock that one out.
Okay. Ms. Singleton, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. We don't have a real good connection, but can you turn on your video?
Yes, there we go.
Very good. Yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear me okay and see me okay?
Yes.
All right. Do you know if Mr. Singleton, also known as Mr. Bay, is going to join us today?
I don't know.
Okay. Okay, let me ask for appearances then.
Courtney Shelton, attorney for the department.
Gary Albertson, attorney for the children.
Harley Anderson, attorney for the mother, Danielle Singleton.
Krista Smith with CASA.
Okay. And you may proceed.
Your Honor, Dad's visits were changed to virtual due to some safety concerns by the department. Since that time, he has not participated in them. There were also some concerns that when he was participating in the visits, that he might have been under the influence of drugs. We would request at this time that that the court would add drug testing to the father's service plan. And we would also request that his visitation be suspended if he's not going to participate anyway. As far as mom, she's doing great. She has doing her domestic violence. She's working through domestic violence. She's doing her counseling weekly. Her psychological is scheduled for May 19th. They're apparently really backed up, but they said they would contact her if they were able to move that up. She's still working. She's getting calls and texts constantly from the father. I don't know if it's bothering her as much as it's bothering us, but I feel like it probably does feel like harassment to her, but maybe I let Miss Anderson speak more on that. But at this time, I'm hopeful that Miss Singleton is going to be able to get the kids back and keep them safe from Mr. Jimerson. At this time, we just, other than the request for adding drug testing to the Dowd service plan and suspending his visits, we would, as far as that, status quo for mom.
Okay, I would like to hear more in the way of testimony from Ms. Singleton about the, I assume that there's an allegation of family violence during her time with Mr. Singleton, but I've never heard any details. I'd like to hear that because up to this point, I've only heard allegations.
I don't know that she really wants to get into that, Miss Anderson.
Your Honor, Ms. Singleton right now is, first of all, I will say that in response to Ms. Shelton's comments about Mr. Bay harassing her, Ms. Singleton has changed her phone number. She did let me know that in email, and we discussed it, and I think that has been beneficial for her. Second of all, with regard to the allegations of domestic violence, it would be my request that since she is going through treatment at Safety, that she be allowed to continue that and that we address that at a later time so she can continue to work her program. I think it is been beneficial for her, but it's a process. It's going to take time, and we might get a clearer picture if she's allowed a little more time with that program. So it would be my request that right now we not do that. But Your Honor, as far as her working.
Well, what I'm asking is, I need some assurance that there has in fact been family violence. I don't necessarily need the details, but I need Ms. Singleton to tell me that she's been the victim of family violence. I've never heard that in this case from her.
Your Honor, would it be possible for me to have a breakout session with her for a moment so I can discuss that with her before we are on the record?
If I know how to do it. I've forgotten. Let's see.
And Judge, if I can respond, I had subpoenaed some records from Safety because it is a domestic violence prevention like shelter, and they provide programs. Because my understanding is they could not provide services unless there was an allegation of domestic violence.
That was my understanding as well.
I had subpoenaed records from them. They did not want to provide me the records and had filed a motion to quash that subpoena. And they do that because of the protection of their clients. And so I told them I would hold off on making them produce those records as long as she was getting treatment, and going through the counseling and everything. So I think that's sort of why we're at where we're at, and nothing has come forward as far as the domestic violence. So my understanding is there has been an allegation of domestic violence, but as far as anything being produced, that won't come forward until a later date.
What contact, if any, has Mr. Singleton had with the children since I changed his visitation over to virtual?
None.
I'd like to hear from Ms. Black about why that was necessary.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, sorry. So at our visit on March the 18th, which was the last in-person visit that Mr. Bay had with the children, it was at the Dangerfield CPS office. That visit and the visit prior to that were the first two visits that Miss Singleton had not participated in as well. She had been staying during the visits with him at his request and at the children's request as well. And he became very agitated when he realized that she was not going to be present during that visit. I counted for him to call her at least 4 to 5 times during the visit, wanting to know where she was, why she wasn't there, and questioning her whereabouts during the visit. Towards the end of the visit, which he requested to end about 30 minutes early, we started to walk the children up to the front to see if the caregiver was there yet. We did not know if she was there since the visit was ending early, and she was not there. So I requested that he walk with me and we take the children back to the visitation room and wait on the caregiver to get there to transport the kids. And he became very upset during that time. He was making allegations that the department was, I'm not exactly sure how to rephrase exactly what he said, that we were invading, I think is the word that he used, his unalienable rights to parent the children, that we did not have the right to request that his visits be supervised. He listed several things that he thought we were violating and laws that he thought we were breaking by continuing to request that his visits be, or mandate that his visits be supervised. And he made a comment saying that if he wanted to, he could bring a lot of people up here referencing the office, and this would all be over. And so at that point, another worker from the Dangerfield CPS office helped me get everyone back in the visitation room, and she stayed to observe while I stepped out and called Miss Shelton. And she in turn called the Dangerfield Police Department to have them come up there. But by the time they got there, he had already left the premises.
Did you take that statement based on what he said and his demeanor at the time to be a threat?
Yes, sir.
A threat of possible violence?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you said that was March, what date?
That was March the 18th. I'm sorry, go ahead.
You set up virtual visitation for him after that, is that correct?
Yes, the first virtual visitation was supposed to take place, I believe it was March 25th. And he contacted me the day before through text and stated that he was not going to participate in the virtual visits. And that he was rescinding any previous consent that he had given to be contacted by me or anyone from my agency. And I have not had any contact with him since that time.
Okay. All right.
And Your Honor, it's also my understanding that after one of the visits, he knew Miss Singleton was going to be at work. And so when the caregiver left the Dangerfield CPS office, he followed her with the kids. She had the kids with her. He followed her because I guess he wanted to see Miss Singleton, but he followed the caregiver with the kids to McDonald's where Miss Singleton was working. And when the caregiver, I guess, realized he was behind her, I don't know if she pulled through and left or if he ended up leaving, but I know he followed her and it kind of scared her.
Okay. Ms. Anderson.
Your Honor, I would just add that my client she's been doing everything she's supposed to. She has her job. She's been doing services through Safety. She's gone to Mount Pleasant Community College and inquired about beginning school there. As I stated, she's changed her number. And so right now I would just agree with status quo, but ask to come back maybe in May to consider if Miss Singleton could have some unsupervised time with her boys at that time.
Mr. Alvarez.
Your Honor, I agree with the request the state has made. It appears from the reports I get that Mr. Bay, Singleton, Jemerson, whatever he's going by at this point, has more interest in Miss Singleton than he does his children. And he was using those in-person visits to try to see her or find out where she was at. And now that he's no longer getting that access, he doesn't want anything to do with actually following through with any of the services from the reports that I get. So I completely concur with Ms. Shelton's request that his visits be stopped at this point until he avails himself of the court and shows an interest in seeing his children again. And also concur with allowing Ms. Singleton to continue to work her counseling until she's comfortable, and then we'll see where that goes from there. But she appears to be doing what's necessary, and I'm okay with coming back in a month to see if she can have some unsupervised and make sure she's still doing and following the path that she's been following. So I think all that's appropriate and would ask the court to approve those requests.
What is her current access and supervision?
She lives with the caregiver, Your Honor, of the kids. So she sees the kids all the time. It's just no unsupervised access.
Okay. But by the caregiver, not by the department.
Correct.
Okay. All right. What is the ultimate goal in this case? And what's the, I've never really heard. I'm trying, as you can see, this case concerns the court. I want to focus on exactly what has happened, what's going to happen, and what the goal that the department has in this case. Because one of the reasons is it appears to the court that I'm hearing family violence, I'm hearing shelter, but I'm not hearing that there's been any effort to obtain a protective order or anything like that, a different kind of legal proceeding. So what is the goal?
Well, as far as our goal is reunification with Miss Singleton. Ultimately, I'm going to want to see those domestic violence records so that I'll know if I need to terminate Mr. Jimerson's rights. It's looking that way, like we're going to either need to terminate or put a, permanent restraining order against him or a permanent injunction against him because he's not willing to cooperate with the department or do anything to attempt to see his kids. I don't know what Miss Anderson's or Miss Singleton's stance on that is. We haven't really talked about that at this point in time.
What steps do you need to take to obtain those family violence records?
Well, they had, like I said, they had filed a motion to quash, and we just kind of put a hold on it.
I want to set a hearing on that.
Okay.
That motion to quash. Let's do it sooner rather than later.
Yes, sir.
At least by the next May 7 hearing. Just go ahead and get me an order setting a hearing on their motion. And we'll take it up on the regular day on May 7.
Your Honor, and I know I represent the children, but Miss Anderson, if she chooses to, could ask this court for a no contact provision between those parties if that's what she believes her client wants. I believe the court could order that just through this case without having to have a protective order hearing. I know protective order provides a little bit more, but that would be an option if Miss Anderson and Miss Singleton think that's necessary.
Well, I think you can see where the court's coming from. I mean, to use a kind of an allegory, I see a lot of smoke, but I haven't seen any fire. And, I'd like to see the fire if it's there, because that's an important part of this case. And apparently there's documentary evidence available that's not being turned over for whatever reason. And so I think having a hearing on that matter would be beneficial to the court in going forward.
And Your Honor, I will say that Miss Singleton and her aunt, Mindy, I'm sorry, I can't remember her last name right now. They have gotten a no trespass order for Miss Aunt Mindy's home. So, and my client has expressed to me she doesn't have any desire to see Mr. Bay. So we do at least have that no trespass order in place for the residents that they are at this time.
Okay. Well, having said all that, I'll continue the status quo without change, except I will, at this time, for the reasons stated on the record, terminate Mr. Bay, Mr. Singleton's access to the children until such time as he makes contact with Ms. Black or someone else with CPS, setting up future virtual visitation with the children at that time. When do you want to review this?
Did you want to review it on May 7th to hear that motion to quash?
We might as well, since we'll be in the case, so let's do that.
Okay.
Anything else from anyone in this case? All right.
The request for drug test.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
we don't-
yes, that's granted. Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your
Okay.
Honor.
No, you're.
All right, Ms. Singleton, you may sign off. And we'll take up 20C037, Timothy Williams and Haywood. And let's make appearances in that case.
Is she on here, Judge?
He was in the waiting room earlier, Jamie Williams.
She is in the waiting room. Let me let her in. I still don't know who Ms. or Mr. Price is. Does anyone know who? that
Carrie
is?
Price. She's the foster mother in the Alvarez case.
Okay, so she's not involved in this then.
No.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
All right, Ms. Williams, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can.
And I can see you. And who's that with you?
Mr. Haywood.
Okay. All right, go ahead, make appearances.
Courtney Shelton, attorney for the department.
Gary Albertson, attorney for the father, Donald Haywood.
Harley Anderson, attorney for the mother, Jamie Williams.
CASA in this case?
Yes, Your Honor. Patricia Smith with CASA.
Okay.
And Your Honor, I'm standing in for Ms. Hammond on other cases, but she's the ad litem on this case, so I don't know if we have a stand-in for her on this one or not.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Ms. Shelton.
Your Honor, we were a little iffy at first. We weren't sure how we were doing, but Miss Black has made an unannounced home visit. Miss Smith has made unannounced home visits. So I think we're all good now. Miss Williams, they do have another child on the way. So look at her putting her head back. So they may be changing their housing situation again, but they are making arrangements in the house they're currently at so that they can get everybody situated. They have moved their room into where the boys were, or to Timothy's old room, and then they put a pack and play up for Joe. They turned the master bedroom into the boys' main room, which now has 4 beds in it. They're hoping to get a bunk bed for Tim and Donnie, which would make a little bit more room in there. And then they're using the 3rd bedroom that they're going to be setting up as a nursery for the new baby. So the school counselor says that Timothy's doing very good. He's passing, has no tardies. The daycare of the other 2 says they're doing great. They come to school clean, well-dressed. They eat great. And so right now we are recommending that the other 2, Donald and Randy, go ahead and come home. And we will monitor the situation, see how things go, make sure everything stays clean in the house, and everybody adjusts, and hopefully everybody will be situated by the time the new baby gets here.
Will that be all of the children then?
That will be all of the children.
All 5?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ms. Anderson.
Your Honor, Ms. Williams is certainly in agreement with that. And I don't have much to add to what Ms. Shelton said, other than she's been very good about utilizing her community resources, and she stays in good contact with me, CASA, and the department.
Mr. Albertson.
Your Honor, we're certainly in agreement, and I was actually in the courtroom when Mr. Haywood went to court on charges coming from this and was able to help his attorney at the time with that, and I think he's taking care of that. So I think everything is pointing in the right direction. These two have come a long way, so just happy to see that they're continuing down the right path, and hopefully that'll continue, and eventually we'll be back here to clap and tell them congratulations.
And you said that Ms. Hammond is the attorney ad litem in the case. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, let me direct my question to Ms. Williams. Are you ready to start caring for 5 plus a half? How
Yes,
far
Your Honor.
along? How far along?
Also, because I guess Miss Anderson forgot to bring it up, I am also fixing to start working at Taco Bell on 7th Street here in Texarkana. And after, my 6-week healing period, I'm going back to work, after I'm done bleeding and all that other stuff after giving birth.
Okay. Well, are you going to be able to do that with all 5 of these children in your home?
Yes, sir. All I got to do is tell the manager, when the other 2 are coming home, and she'll work with me.
Okay. Well, it sounds like y'all are making real progress. I'm glad to hear it. And I'm glad you've been working toward reunification. That's what we're working for. So I'll continue the status quo, and except for the status quo being that I will approve the return of, it's Donald and Randy, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Approve their return home as well, making it a complete family unit, plus 1 new one on the way.
Yes, sir.
All right. Good luck to you, Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And
Next
Judge,
review date.
there's no required hearing. It's really kind of up to you when we come back. The monitored return dismissal date is August the 5th. I'd say what's our July date? Is it July the 2nd? I'd say July the 2nd.
Okay, that's fine with me. July 2. We'll take another look at this case on the 2nd of July, Ms. Williams. Hopefully we'll be to a point where we'll either do a monitored return or a dismissal at that point.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Are we doing a monitored return of the 2 youngest now?
We're already on the monitored return.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. You're excused, Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, I forgot to mention the job.
Well, I was mentioning the monitored return because I thought the other 2 had not been part of that. Is that correct?
Well, we started it when we sent the first 2 home,
Okay.
or first 1 home.
Okay.
It was because we were out of time and we had already had an extension. So we had to do the monitored return all at one time legally.
Are you running into any extensions in other, we don't have any that I'm aware of, but other cases where they're courts having to use the emergency orders provisions?
No, sir, we haven't had to in Bowie County yet.
Okay. CCL 20C 149, the Alvarez matter.
That's the
That's the
Contested.
contested one?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
well, let's save that for last then. How about 20C 397, Morgan and Morgan Davis?
That should be fairly quick.
Okay, appearances in that case.
Courtney Shelton, attorney for the department.
Gary Albertson, attorney for the children.
Carly Anderson, standing in for Cyndia Hammond, attorney for the mother.
Patricia Smith with CASA.
Okay, go ahead.
Randall Lee for the father.
Your Honor, we have not had much progress in this case as far as the parents. Mr. Morgan is still incarcerated in Arkansas. Stephanie still doesn't have her own phone. She calls from different phones. She's had positive drug tests in March, and then she didn't go to her other drug test for March. She was positive on March the 19th for meth and marijuana. She did complete her psychological, but she's not doing parenting or counseling. She is working at the Pit Grill and living with a guy friend, but we don't have his name. Charles Burns has been arrested twice since his last court date, both for possession of a controlled substance. He drug tested March 22nd. He was also positive for meth on his hair. He couldn't do his UA at the time because there was no one there to observe it. He did say he wanted to go to rehab, but his paperwork was sent for Ed Cotta, and he didn't complete the interview. He completed his psychological. He's had 3 office visits with Riley, which is his child. He was late for the first one. He missed the next one, which the one he missed, he was not in jail for. And then he was present last week for his third one. So at this point, with the lack of progress and the continued drug use, we're requesting that all visits be suspended until the parents either test negative or go to rehab.
Okay, Ms. Hammond, or Ms. Hammond's not with us, but Ms. Anderson, I should say.
Your Honor, I attempted to reach out to Ms. Hammond's client and was not able to get in touch with her. I don't know if she is in the waiting room. I have no idea. So other than that, I did make an effort to contact her in preparation for today's hearing and was not successful. So I don't have anything to add other than perhaps just confirming that she's not in the waiting room.
She's not in the waiting room. Okay. Mr. Lee?
Your Honor, I had planned to visit him, Charles, in jail. He bonded out before I could get there. I have not really had any contact with him since. I do not know what to report.
Okay. Mr. Albertson?
Well, Your Honor, I think I'm in agreement with the state's proposal that all visits be stopped. Mr. Morgan's obviously in jail, so he's not able to do visits at this time. Mom was positive on her last test and then skipped the next one. And then Dad's been arrested. The other father, Mr. Burns, has been arrested twice and was positive when he did show up. So it doesn't seem like they're working services or doing anything at this point productive to try to get their children back. And obviously the kids don't need to be around them if they're all using and getting arrested for various crimes. So I would concur in the state's request to suspend all visits at this point until they show back up in court and start testing clean.
Casa?
I spoke with my advocate about this case, and she had went to one of the visitations to see how it was going between the mother and the children. And I just want to express that Riley, which is the young lady, she's very, very bonded to her mom. I think that she has a hard time when the visits end. She's not really wanting those visits to end. So I think that would it would be sad for her to know that if the visits were suspended, she might have a hard time with that. But in any case, I do have concerns with the parents' lack of progress. So I do understand where the department's coming from as far as the long down the road, as far as the best interest for the children.
Well, I concur with the recommendation that their access to the children be suspended for the time being. And until such time as they either start testing negative or follow up on some type of rehabilitation program, because they're not making any progress that I can see, none at all. I hate that for Riley, but her mom's gonna have to choose whether she wants Riley or whether she wants to use illegal drugs. That's what it comes down to.
Your Honor, I think it would be easier for Riley if she didn't have to go and leave and go and leave. She might adjust better to it with not having any right now, as opposed to sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't, sometimes they're high, sometimes they're not. I think it would, as long as Miss Shelby's able to explain to her what's going on, I think she'll be upset at first, but I think she'll adjust better to it that way.
Well, if what visitation they've been doing has been that sporadic, then I agree with you completely. Review date.
Initial permanency hearing is June the 4th, Judge.
Okay, June 4 at 9 o'clock. Okay, we have Ms. Price. What the case she's in though is the Alvarez case, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. How about CCL 20C415, the Harp case?
We're ready on that one, Judge.
Okay. Appearances?
Courtney Shelton, attorney for the department.
Gary Albertson, attorney ad litem for the children.
Paige Blackman, attorney for Ms. Harp.
Patricia Smith-Wacasta.
And the father's deceased according to my notes, is that correct?
That's correct, Judge.
Okay, all right. Go ahead.
Your Honor, we would just recommend status quo for now. Mom is making her visits. She's supposed to start parenting, or she did start parenting on April the 1st. It's an 8-week course. She's doing individual counseling. She is not doing her mental health treatment. She is getting she's getting medicines through a doctor, but she will not go to a mental health doctor. She gets her medicine through a doctor in Hugh Springs, I believe. And this doctor is not a mental health professional. Her issue was she didn't want to go to community health course, which we were fine with, and we recommended Wellness Point, but she refuses to do that either. As far as the kids, Bobby is doing great. He's placed with some foster parents in Hugh Springs. He is in counseling and making some progress. They had another discharge for Malia, but the girls have been placed in a new foster home they just got moved to a new foster home, which my understanding is a wonderful foster home, and they will do great with the girls. So we're excited about this new placement for them.
Are they twins? Are they twins?
No, Your Honor.
No, they're both 6 years old. Is that
Yeah,
right?
they're just very close in age. I think one of them's actually, no, one's 6 and one's 8. I think. No, I've got 8 and 6 on my docket.
I have 8, 6, and 6.
Bobby and Malaya are the same age.
Okay,
Right.
Okay.
but they're not
But they're
twins.
not twins.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I confused everything.
They're
Go
just
ahead.
very close in age. I think that's it. I think I covered everything.
Okay. Mr. Albertson.
Your Honor, I'm in agreement. We got the move done on the girls, and hopefully that'll go well. Everything else seems to be going fine with the kids. Mom appears to be doing everything other than the mental health stuff, but if she's receiving the proper medication, I don't know where her diagnosis came from or if this doctor's qualified, obviously, but that's not my role. But it seems like most everything's being complied with, and mom's doing the best she can with what she's doing. So I'm in agreement with just doing status quo at this point and let mom do her parenting, and let's go from there.
And Your Honor, Miss Black can update you. Just mom did contact her this week and finally did set an appointment up. I believe she can give you the details for some mental health treatment.
Okay, Ms. Black.
I actually had a phone conversation with mom this morning. She called me before court started this morning and said that she did complete an intake appointment with Community Health Court in Texarkana yesterday morning, but I did not. She said that she filled out a release of information that has my name on there, but she contacted me before court and let me know that. So I've not had a chance to call Community Health Court to be able to verify that that appointment did take place. But Ms. Hart did say that she set up the appointment with Community Health Court and that she completed her intake yesterday. But that is the only appointment that she's had with them so far.
Okay.
Your Honor, if I may shed some light on that, I had a very long visit with Ms. Hart, went to her home to visit her. We have talked about the mental health care stuff. It is not, I've actually seen her medicines. Some of them are for blood pressure and other things that are perfectly appropriate to be prescribed by, a local family clinic. Others are not. They're psychotropic type things for her mood disorder. But it is my understanding that the reason that those were originally prescribed to her by a psychiatrist that she went to, and this particular family clinic just went ahead and continued to prescribe the same things, that they haven't really come up with any kind of new diagnosis other than the one that was made earlier. So we've talked about all that, and I hope to have a little bit more clarity for you next time. I'm going to go ahead and try to get some of these records and information about her medications so that there's no confusion moving forward.
Okay. You know why she's not appearing today?
I do not, unless she didn't understand that she was supposed to be here.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. When I talked with her this morning, she was planning on calling in. So she may have had some last minute connection issues or something like that. But when she talked to me this morning about 8:30, she was planning on calling in. So something must have happened very last minute.
She is very interested in her case. She's not the type person that's just blowing it off. So I really don't know what has happened either.
Is it not possible to put all 3 children in one foster home? Apparently not.
No, Your Honor.
Yeah. The girls are together and the boy is separate.
Yes, Your Honor. And the home that has the boy, they only take boys.
Oh, okay.
And I believe, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Hart was real pleased with that placement because that lady is one of that child's former teachers.
Yes.
Oh,
So she
okay.
felt really comfortable about that. And
Okay. All right. Anything else, anyone?
No, Your Honor.
I'll simply keep the existing orders status quo. I am glad to hear that she's made and completed the appointment to address her mental health issues. Need a review date.
The initial permanency is May 7th, Judge.
Okay. May 7, 9 a.m.
Your Honor, I believe with that, that is all I have before the court this morning. May I be excused?
Are you sure that's all you have?
Well, pretty sure.
Let me check my sheet and make sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see your name anywhere else, so you may be excused.
Thank you, sir. Y'all have a good weekend.
You too. Does that only leave the Alvarez case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Get to that. For the record, then, this is cause number CCL 20C149. The Alvarez Mosley matter. I'll ask for appearances by counsel and the parties.
Courtney Shelton, attorney for the department.
Harley Anderson standing in for Cyndia Hammond, attorney ad litem.
Paige Blackman, attorney for Ms. Alvarez.
Randall Lee, attorney for Corey Mosley.
Patricia
Angela Pierce Casa.
and Patricia Smith-Wacasa.
And I need to let Ms. Price in. She's involved in this case.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Appearances, beginning with Ms. Shelton.
Courtney Shelton, attorney for the department.
Harley Anderson standing in for Cyndia Hammond, attorney ad litem.
Paige Blackman, attorney for Mrs. Alvarez.
Randall Lee for Corey Mosley.
Angela Pierce Casa.
Michelle Walton, Child Protective Services.
I had y'all go back through that because I had a party that had not yet been admitted to the hearing. Okay, Ms. Shelton, you may proceed.
Your Honor, this is set for termination. I believe we'll need to call witnesses, Your Honor.
Okay, call your first witness.
Call Michelle Walton.
Ms. Walton, will you raise your hand and be sworn, please? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give to the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
You may lower your hand and you may proceed.
Would you state your name, please?
Michelle Walton.
Ms. Walton, how are you currently employed?
I'm an investigation supervisor for Child Protective Investigations.
Okay, how long have you been employed with Child Protective Services?
A little over 18 years.
And how long have you been a supervisor?
Approximately 7 to 8 years.
And are you familiar with a case involving Christian Alvarez and Sophie Alvarez?
Yes.
And how are you familiar with Christian and Sophie?
I was the supervisor on the case.
Okay. And what were the initial allegations regarding Christian and Sophie Alvarez?
We received the intake report due to it from mom giving birth to Sophia, and both tested positive for opiates and methamphetamines.
Okay. And who is mom?
Christina Alvarez.
Christina or Christian?
Christian, I'm sorry.
Okay. And then the child is Sophie Alvarez?
Yes, Sophie.
Okay. And then those allegations came in at the birth of Sophie?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And who met with Christian Alvarez?
Investigator Tanya Baker.
Okay. And as a supervisor, do you staff all these cases with the initial investigator?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Prior to meeting with Christian Alvarez, did Ms. Baker familiarize herself with the CPS history involving Christian Alvarez?
Yes, ma'am.
And what sort of CPS history did Ms. Alvarez have?
Ms. Alvarez had a history where one of her oldest child was removed from her due to physical abuse. She had a case in October of 2019 for abandonment, neglect for supervision, and physical abuse to her children. At that time, she still had her 4 older children with her. Those allegations were found reason to believe. And then in December 2019, she had that second case with neglect for supervision to her children, and that case was ruled unable to determine.
Okay, so she has 4 other children that were any of those children in her care at the time of this new intake?
No, ma'am.
And where are all those children?
The teenager Courtney is with our aunt, and then the 3 other children are with the sister-in-law, which is the paternal aunt to the children.
Okay. And did Miss Baker meet with Christian Alvarez at St. Michael's?
Yes, ma'am.
And did she have a conversation with her about the allegations?
Yes, ma'am.
And did Miss Alvarez know, was she aware what the allegations were and why Miss Baker was there?
Yes, ma'am, she was.
Did she deny drug use?
No.
What did she admit to?
She admitted at the time that she had took 2 hits of meth off of a pipe a couple of weeks before the baby was born.
Okay. Did she admit to any other drug use?
Yes, ma'am. She also admitted to taking a Xanax pill. Let me make sure I got the right name of what she admitted to. She took a 1.5 tablets of Hydros she said she had back pain.
Mm-hmm.
And she said she had also went to the hospital in Atlanta prior to the birth due to the stomach pain she was having, and they allegedly gave her morphine.
Okay. And when did she smoke the methamphetamine?
She stated that she took smoked the meth 2 to 3 weeks before she gave birth.
Okay. How long did she say that she had a methamphetamine problem?
For the past 4 to 5 years.
Okay. Now I'm going to show you, let me see if I can do this. Hang on. Bear with me, Judge.
Understand, believe me.
I need to share my screen, Judge. Can you enable me to share my screen?
I think I can. This should do it.
Okay, now let me see if I can. Is it working? Okay, hang on. There we go.
Yep.
There it is.
Okay. All right. Do you
Ma'am.
see this, what I'm showing you as Petitioners Exhibit One? Do you recognize that?
Yes, ma'am. That's an acknowledgement of substance use that was signed by the mother.
Okay. And what did she acknowledge that she had used?
Methamphetamines.
Okay. And what dates did she say she used?
April the 6th through April, I think about the 10th.
Okay. And are those her initials beside that?
Yes.
And this is her signature down here?
Yes, ma'am.
And whose signature is underneath that?
Tanya Baker's.
Okay. Your Honor, we'd offer this as Petitioners Exhibit One.
Any objection from any attorney?
None
No
for the
objections.
item, Your
Okay, you guys stepped on each other.
No objections, Your Honor.
All right,
No objection, Your Honor.
all right. Then Petitioners Exhibit One is admitted.
Now, who did Miss Alvarez believe was the father of Sophie?
A man by the name of Corey Mosley.
Okay. Did she have any contact or know where Mr. Mosley was at the time?
No, ma'am.
What was Miss Alvarez's intentions as far as Sophie? Did she have a place to go with her? Did she have a stable home environment?
At the time, Ms. Alvarez did not have a stable home. She was kind of staying from place to place. She had, when we got involved, she had offered 3 names, 3 people for her child to go stay with until we could conclude the investigation.
Okay. And did CPS did y'all look into those 3 possible placements?
Yes, ma'am.
And who were they?
The first one was her son, Jordan Alvarez, her oldest son. He's an adult, and his girlfriend. We had contacted him, and initially he said yes, but he called us back the next day and said no, he would not be able to do it. The second placement option was Julie Taylor, her aunt, and she was unable to care for the baby because she said she had medical issues herself. The third was her mother, Rosie Mays, was the third option, and we could not place with Miss Mays due to Mrs. Mays' history with the department. And she also gave us another person by the name of Donna Mays, who we contacted, but we were unable to do that placement due to her background.
Okay. And so at that point, what did the department make a decision to do?
Sophie was removed from the care of her mother and placed in foster care.
And who was the foster home that you placed her with?
I'm not sure what the name of the foster parent was.
Okay. Is it the same foster parent that Sophie's been with the entire length of the case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you, were you present at the adversary hearing on May the 11th of 2020?
I'm sure I was. I'm not sure. I don't remember, but I'm sure I was.
You typically attend those, do you not?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay. Your Honor, we would ask the court to take judicial notice of the temporary order following adversary hearing filed on May the 13th of 2020.
Granted.
And Ms. Walton, mom was served in this case, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Neither parent did appear at that hearing, did they?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Had Corey Mosley been served? Are you aware?
No.
Okay. And at that hearing, mom was ordered to submit to a psychological and/or a psychiatric evaluation, cooperate in counseling sessions, complete parenting, and then submit to and cooperate in drug and alcohol dependency evaluation through CATA, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And to date, are you aware if she has completed any of those?
No, ma'am, I'm not.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
Let's see, Ms. Blackman. I'm sorry, Ms. Blackman, I have you muted.
I have no questions of this witness.
Mr. Lee?
He muted too.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I have a couple of questions, Your Honor.
Okay.
Ms. Walton, you were advised that Corey Mosley was supposed to be the father of Sophie. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
When did y'all contact him?
We have not been able to make any contact with Mr. Mosley.
Okay, has he been served?
To my knowledge, no.
Okay, so you have no way, you don't have any information on how to contact him in your records?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Redirect. My ad litem though. Who's my ad litem? Okay, Ms. Anderson.
Standing in for Ms. Hammond, Your Honor, no questions for Ms. Walton.
Okay. Redirect.
Ms. Walton, if Mr. Mosley has been served during the conservatorship phase, you don't have knowledge of that, correct?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and if Ms. Black has made contact with Mr. Mosley, you wouldn't have knowledge of that either, would you?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so you're just aware of what's been done during the investigation phase?
Yes, ma'am.
Conservatorship is a separate unit?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'll pass the witness.
Anyone else questions of this witness? Okay.
Not from the ad litem, Your
No, Your Honor.
All right. Call your next witness.
Your Honor, may Ms. Walton be excused?
She may.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I called Jill Black, Your Honor.
Raise your hand and be sworn. Do you swear or affirm that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
May lower your hand.
Would you state your name, please?
Jill Black.
And how are you currently employed?
I'm a conservatorship worker with Child Protective Services.
Would you explain exactly what the conservatorship worker is and does?
I work with biological families of the children that have been brought into the foster care system. I monitor the children while they are in a foster home or whatever their placement is, and work with the biological family on completing services for the purposes of family reunification.
Okay. And how long have you been a conservatorship worker for the department?
Almost 7 years.
And were you assigned a case involving Christian Alvarez, Sophie Alvarez, and then the alleged father, Corey Mosley?
Yes.
When were you assigned that case?
It would have been around May 11th, following the adversary hearing of 2020.
Okay. And did you, shortly after that adversary hearing, do you try to immediately meet with the biological parents?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you have an opportunity to meet with Christian Alvarez?
We had an opportunity to, we had a family group conference on May the 29th that was held virtual at the time due to COVID, where Ms. Alvarez did participate, and I participated in that as well.
Okay. And did Ms. Alvarez seem like she was going to participate and attempt to complete her services?
She did at that time, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did she submit to drug testing on that date?
She did, yes, ma'am.
And what were the results of that test?
Her UA from that day was negative. Her hair test was positive for amphetamines and methamphetamines.
Okay. Shortly after that, was there a status hearing?
Yes, ma'am. I believe it was June 5th of 2020.
Okay. Did mom appear at the hearing?
She did not.
But you had gone over the service plan with her by this time. Y'all had had a family team meeting. She understood what the service plan was.
Yes, ma'am.
She also understood if she did not comply with that service plan, her rights could be terminated.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. As of the date of the status hearing, had Corey Mosley been served?
Not at that time, no, ma'am.
Did you continue to request drug tests from Christian Alvarez?
Yes, ma'am.
And did she ever drug test again in this case?
No, ma'am, she did not.
How many times do you think you requested drug tests?
On average, it would have been 2 a month. So maybe 18 to 20 times.
Okay, somewhere in that ballpark.
Yes.
Okay. Throughout June, did you continue to look for family members to place with?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is the purpose of that? If you have a good foster placement, why do you continue to look for family members?
We always try to look for biological family members so that that child is able to have that connection throughout their lifetime to their biological family, even if their parents are not able to be the primary caregivers for them. We like for them to be able to have that connection and to be involved in some aspect if they can.
Okay. Were you able to find any suitable family members?
No, ma'am.
Who did you look into the same family members that investigations did?
We continued to look into one of the same family members. One kind of spilled over into our part of the case as well. And then we also looked at different family members than investigations did.
Okay, so who were those members?
We looked into Darcy and Michael Mays. Michael Mays is the biological brother of Christian Alvarez, and Darcy is his wife.
Okay, and what happened with that?
I had a conversation with Darcy Mays, and she expressed that initially at Sophie's birth, they had expressed the possibility that they would like to be temporary placement for her. But they lived in Arkansas at the time. So we were working on doing an ICPC to see if that would be an appropriate placement for them, for Sophie. And Ms. Mays stated that they were not going to be able to be a permanent placement or long-term placement or adoptive placement, that they had only suggested that to the family that they would be able to care for Sophie on a temporary basis, but not a permanent basis. And so they were no longer interested in being able to be placement at that time.
Okay. Did you request from them any additional family members that Sophie could be placed with?
I did.
And what was their response?
They both stated that they did not feel, they were not aware of any family members that they could provide to me for various reasons. They stated different reasons for different family members, anywhere from criminal history to medical issues to financial stability. They were not aware of any biological family members that they felt would be in Sophie's best interest to be placed with.
Okay. And you said that there was one that spilled over from investigations, a family member that spilled over from investigations into your case. Who was that?
It was the maternal grandmother, Rosa Mays. Investigations was able to submit a home study request. She does reside in Texas, and so it was a home study request. And they were able to submit a home study request on her. And by the time the home study came back, it had already been transferred to our department, but the home study was denied due to Miss Mays's background. And there were some other issues as well.
Okay, so there was a full home study done on Miss Mays.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Was there any other family members that were looked into?
Not to my knowledge.
That were submitted to you?
Oh, that were submitted. No, we looked into everyone whose name we were provided.
Okay. At some point, was Corey Mosley served in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And when was that?
I believe it was on June 17th, 2020.
Okay. And did he appear? I believe there was a subsequent hearing on August the 7th, a review hearing.
Yes, ma'am.
So that would have been after he was served, correct?
Yes, ma'am. And
did he appear at that hearing?
No, ma'am, he did not.
Did mom appear at that hearing?
No, ma'am, she did not.
Did mom ever appear at another hearing?
She did. The first appearance that she made was at our December hearing.
Okay. And why did she end up appearing at that hearing?
She was in Upshur County Jail at the time.
Okay. And so we were able to actually kind of make her appear, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And was Corey present on that hearing?
No, ma'am, he was not.
Has Corey Mosley ever appeared for a hearing?
No, ma'am, he has not.
Okay. Have you ever made contact with Corey Mosley?
I have, yes, ma'am.
When have you made contact with Corey Mosley?
I met with him on February 9th, 2021.
Okay. Prior to that date, did you attempt to make contact with him?
Attempts were made. I just had no direct contact with him prior to that date.
Okay. What attempts did you make with him, or what did you do to attempt to make contact? That was a better question.
We did have an address for him. When he was served, we obtained his signature at the address that we served him at. And so we knew or felt like that was a valid address for him. And so after we were able to verify that address, I made several attempts to visit the home. His grandmother was present at the home, and I left her each time that I went with my business card that had my contact information on there. Each time she was on the porch whenever I would arrive, and she stated that he did live there, but he was not present at the time. I would leave a card with her, and she would say that she would have him call me, but I never received a phone call from him. In addition to that, monthly letters were sent to that address that were addressed to him, informing him about the circumstances involving the case updates, and it also included my contact information and requested that he contact me upon receipt of each of those letters.
Okay. And what was that address that you were sending those letters to?
103 Reed Street in Atlanta, Texas.
Okay. And so you actually made contact with a family member at that home?
Yes, ma'am.
Did she indicate whether he was getting those letters?
She did not.
Okay. But she knew who you were and knew why you were there?
Yes, she did. She confirmed that he did live there, and that she would pass along my information to him.
Okay. All right. So back to what I was saying or asking you, when did you make contact with him for the first time?
The first time I had direct contact with him was February 9th of 2021.
Okay. And how did that meeting happen?
He was present for a criminal court hearing at the Cass County Courthouse, and I was made aware of that and proceeded to go to the courthouse to meet him to discuss the CPS case.
Okay. And how did that meeting go?
I met with him, and I know she's not here today. Cynthia Hammond was present during that meeting as well. I introduced myself to Mr. Mosley. He did know who I was. He was familiar with my name and was familiar with the CPS case. He did say that he had received correspondence from us, including his service papers. He remembered specifically getting those, and that he knew who Christian Alvarez was, and he was familiar that there was a CPS case and that he had been named an alleged father to Sophie.
Okay. How did he feel about being named the father?
He repeatedly said that he repeatedly asked how we knew he was the dad if he never took a DNA test.
Okay. Did you explain to him that DNA tests had been set up for him?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was his response to that?
He just shrugged his shoulders several times.
Okay.
And said that he never participated in one. And so how did we know if he was the dad?
Okay. So did you explain the proceedings as far as termination, or that he needed to, show up at a hearing and that sort of thing?
I did. Yes, ma'am.
And what was his response?
He asked if there was an attorney that he could talk to, at which time Ms. Hammond and I both suggested that he go to the clerk's office and request an attorney through that process.
Okay. And that was done?
He went in there, but before Ms. Hammond and I made it out of the building, we saw him leave. And we knew that there had been, it was less than a minute that he was in there. And so I contacted him after that date to ask him if he was able to get an attorney. And he said that he was not. And so we ended up going through the process for him to be appointed an attorney, since he did let me know that he did want one.
Okay. So since he requested one from you, we went ahead and asked the court to appoint him one.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. To your knowledge, has he had any contact with his attorney?
No, ma'am, not to my knowledge.
Have you had any contact with Mr. Mosley since that date?
I have. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when was that?
That was March 17th of 2021.
Okay.
I reached out to him to provide him with his attorney's contact information, as well as remind him of the date and time of this court hearing.
And what was his response to that?
He said, thank you for providing that information, and then asked me what he needed to contact his attorney for.
Okay. Did you explain all that to him?
I did. I explained that I reminded him that he initially asked for an attorney to be appointed to him. And so we had gone through that process, and I wanted to make sure that he had that information, and that he needed to contact his attorney so that his attorney could more in-depthly have a conversation with him about the CPS case and what his options were.
Okay. Anything else about that conversation?
His response to that part of the conversation was that he did not see the use in contacting him.
Okay. Did you have any further conversations with Mr. Mosley?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did you have any contact from any of Mr. Mosley's family members?
I did.
Okay. Who did you have conversations with?
I do not have her name. She contacted me yesterday and left a voicemail that I couldn't hear. And when I called her back, she just kind of jumped right into the questions that she had.
And what were those?
She was trying to ask about the court hearing today. She said that Mr. Mosley had received notice in the mail of the court hearing, and she actually read me the notice. She was wondering what the court hearing was for today and if Mr. Mosley needed to participate. And I instructed her that Mr. Mosley needed to contact his attorney yesterday, and that I had provided him with the contact information, but that if she checked with him and he needed the information again to let me know and I could send it to him again. And she said that to her knowledge, she did not know whether or not he had any contact with his attorney.
Okay. So he knows he has an attorney.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And he knew there was a hearing today,
Yes, ma'am.
but he still chose not to show up.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. At some point, I believe it was in January, this court did adjudicate Corey Mosley as the father of Sophie, correct?
Yes, ma'am. January 8th.
Okay. Now back to Christian Alvarez. You said that she appeared in December at a hearing while she was in the Upshur County Jail, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have conversations with Christian, with her attorney, regarding future plans for Sophie?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and how did that occur?
I met with Christian at the Upshur County Jail prior to, in between the December hearing and the January hearing that we had, to discuss with Ms. Alvarez the progress of the case, her lack of services, the possibility of her signing a relinquishment. Ms. Blackman was present over the phone during my part of the conversation, and then I was able to, the guards and I were able to step out of the room and allow Ms. Alvarez to have a private conversation with Ms. Blackman over the phone.
Okay. At that point in time, did Ms. Alvarez sign a relinquishment?
Not on that day, no, ma'am.
Okay. Was that being discussed between Ms. Alvarez and her attorney?
Yes, ma'am. She did indicate that to me that she was considering it at that time, but she had a few more questions that she wanted her attorney to have an opportunity to follow up on before she wanted to further consider it.
Okay. Later, after, well, I believe it was later on in February, were there some discussions about Ms. Alvarez signing the relinquishment?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and tell us about that.
She did have some more conversations with her attorney that I was not a party of, where they continued to discuss the relinquishment. And at the February hearing, Ms. Alvarez had attempted to execute the relinquishment, but it was not properly signed.
Okay, how did we get that relinquishment?
The one that was not properly signed was done through her and her attorney. I was not present for that.
Okay, but that relinquishment was sent to us from her attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was signed by Ms. Alvarez?
Yes, ma'am.
And how was it not properly executed?
It only had one witness and it was not notarized.
Okay. So what happened after that?
After that court hearing, I reached out to Ms. Blackman and asked her if she had received the notarized copy. And if not, if she could provide me with the contact information for Ms. Alvarez, and I would be able to take a notary to her to have one notarized. And she provided me with Ms. Alvarez's contact information in response to that. And then I met with Ms. Alvarez at a local business in Cass County.
Okay. And when you met with Ms. Alvarez, what happened?
We met at the State Bank in Queen City, Texas. She did have someone with her, and I asked if that individual would like to come in, if she wanted that person to be a witness to the affidavit. And she said she did not, that person was just transporting her. And we went over the document in the bank, and I asked her if it looked familiar to her. And she said, yes, she had seen it before. It was the same document that she had gone over with her attorney. I asked if she would like to call the attorney or if she had any questions about it. And she said she did not. She signed the document in front of the notary at State Bank, and then two employees at State Bank witnessed it.
Okay. Let me see. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm showing you what's been marked as Petitioners Exhibit 2. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this was filed on February the 25th of 2021, and I'm going to flip through this. Is this the document that was executed on that date?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and I believe it was February the 10th.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and whose signature is this?
Christian Alvarez.
Okay, and this was notarized at State Bank?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and who were these witnesses?
They were employees that were present at State Bank.
Okay. Did she have you said she had no questions about it?
She did not.
And you gave her the opportunity to contact her attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. To your knowledge, she had already discussed this and executed a prior relinquishment, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you sign the consent to designate a managing conservator for the department to be designated?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, we'd offer Petitioners Exhibit 2.
Any objections from any of the council?
No objection from the ad litem, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right, then Exhibit 2, Petitioners Exhibit 2 is admitted.
And Ms. Black, would you tell me who is Sophie currently placed with?
She's placed with David and Carrie Price.
Okay, and tell me about the Prices.
They are a foster home in Bowie County. They were present with Sophie for her last couple of days when she was in the hospital after she was born, and she went home with them from the hospital and has been with them ever since.
Okay. Do they appear bonded to her?
Absolutely.
Well, let me back that up. Does she appear bonded to them?
100%.
Okay. I assume she perceives them as her birth parents.
Yes, ma'am.
And doesn't know any different.
No.
Is it their intention to adopt her?
Yes, ma'am.
Are there siblings in the home?
Yes, ma'am.
And do they also appear bonded to Sophie?
Very much so.
Okay. What are their future plans? I know you said they plan to adopt her, but what are their future plans for Sophie?
They are willing to provide for her. She is very loved in that home and she is very attached to that family. She recently has gotten into a stage where she is very familiar with stranger danger. And so she reaches out for them for comfort. She looks to them and is very bonded with them. They have a family vacation planned this summer that Sophie will be able to attend. And they are willing to provide a loving home for her.
Do you feel like it's in the best interest of Sophie that both Christian Alvarez and Corey Mosley's rights be terminated?
Yes, ma'am.
How long has Sophie been in the temporary managing conservatorship of the department? Has it been more than 6 months?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I will pass the witness.
Mr. Lee?
Yes, sir. I just have a few questions. So far as you know, has Mr. Mosley ever seen the child?
No, sir, he has not.
And so he's never been involved in the child at all?
No, sir.
Has he ever acknowledged that it is his child?
No, sir.
And of course, you've already previously testified, he was given my information to contact me.
Yes, sir.
And he knew that a termination would happen.
Yes, sir.
If that's what the hearing was about.
Yes, sir.
So he's done nothing at all since he's been told that he was the father.
Correct.
Pass the witness.
Ms. Blackman?
Just a few, Your Honor. Ms. Black, you facilitated the visit at the jail and allowed me to have quite a bit of time with my client alone for a discussion.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then you're aware that later on we did have other conversations in which I tried to answer all questions that she might have.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so it was after that point in time that she decided to go ahead and sign the relinquishment.
Yes, ma'am.
And we did initially prepare one at my office that she did not get a notary and a witness for.
Correct.
Okay. So that's your understanding of how that process developed with us talking about it until she eventually made her decision.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Pass the witness.
Ms. Anderson,
No questions, Your Honor.
redirect.
No, Your Honor.
All right, call your next witness.
I'll call Patricia Smith, Your Honor.
Will you raise your hand and be sworn, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes,
May lower your hand.
thank you.
Would you state your name, please?
Patricia Smith,
And how are you currently employed?
through CASA.
What are your duties as a CASA worker?
Well, I'm the CASA advocate coordinator, and we oversee cases that we're appointed to by the judge. Basically, within those duties, we go out and check on the child's monthly contact to the placement as well as to the parents to kind of help the reunification process happen.
Okay. Are you familiar with Sophie Alvarez and Charles and Carrie Price?
I am.
Okay. And how have you become familiar with them?
Well, I've been out there a couple of times personally, but I do have an advocate assigned to this case, Angela Pierce, and she goes out there each month, or we'll do virtual visits with them as well. And she'll document her notes into Optima and I approve. So I'm very aware of the relationship between the Price and Sophia.
Okay. Now, throughout this case, did you also attempt to, well, I know that CPS attempted to seek out additional family members, in particular Rose Mays. Did you also look into Rose Mays as a possible family placement?
Yes, Cynthia and I actually reached out to her and we made a personal visit back in July. We both kind of had some concerns as a home study had showed. The home just didn't really appear appropriate to meet Sophie's needs, as well as the grandmother had some CPS history, criminal history. There were references that did not respond to the home study. There were just several red flags that kind of concerned us. And when we questioned her about some of the history on file, it seemed like the stories didn't really add up. So,
okay. Now, as far as Sophie, I know Miss Black said that she is very bonded to the Prices. Have you also witnessed that bond?
yes, and she is very bonded to them.
Okay. Does she have any medical issues that the Prices are having to deal with?
I know at one point in the beginning of the case, she had a hernia issue, and I think that kind of resolved itself, if I'm not mistaken. And then at one point, there were some issues with her eyes, but I'm not so sure if that's still an issue or not. That has not been, nothing has been said to me recently about that. So, but they are usually on top of her needs, and anything that she needs, they address it appropriately through whatever means they need to.
Okay, they've got medical insurance. They've got ways to, they've got the, I guess, financial ability to take care of whatever needs that she may have.
That's correct.
Okay. What, as far as you've seen it, what are their future plans for Sophie?
As far as I know, they kind of made it pretty clear that they would like to be long-term placement for her, that their intentions are to adopt her.
Okay, and will this be a fairly quick adoption?
I believe so. Sophie has been with them since the beginning of this case.
Okay, and in your interaction with them, are they willing to allow biological family contact?
I can't recall having that specific conversation with them, but just based on who they are, I feel like they would be open up to that connection if that's what Sophie chooses.
Okay. And do you feel like this is in the best interest of Sophie to terminate her biological parents' rights?
I do.
Okay, pass the witness.
Mr. Lee,
No questions.
Ms. Blackman.
You're muted.
You're muted.
I have no questions either.
Okay, Ms. Anderson. You're also muted.
No questions, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Call your next witness. And now you're muted.
I'll call Miss Price, Carrie Price.
All right. Ms. Price, will you raise your hand and be sworn? And do you swear or affirm that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may lower your hand. You may proceed with the testimony.
I surprised her, Judge. Would you state your name?
Carrie Price.
And Ms. Price, you are the foster parent for Sophie Alvarez, correct?
Correct.
And you've had Sophie since basically the day she was born.
Yes, ma'am.
And tell us, how do you feel about Sophie?
I love her. She is my daughter. Just kind of how I feel about it. She's precious.
And are you willing to adopt her and raise her like your own if the court decides to terminate the parents' rights today?
Absolutely.
And does she have siblings in the home?
She does.
And does she feel like they're her siblings? Do they feel like she's their sibling?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. I pass witness.
Mr. Lee?
No questions.
Ms. Blackman?
Yes, Your Honor, I do have a few questions. Ms. Price, do I understand correctly that you would be amenable to biological contact in the future?
Yes, ma'am.
And that would be Sophie's choice or yours?
It kind of depends, but definitely if it's our choice, yes.
I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Anderson?
No questions, Your Honor.
Redirect?
No, Your Honor.
All right, call your next witness.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Mr. Lee, any witnesses?
I have no witnesses, Your Honor, and I will affirm to the court that I have not met with Mr. Mosley and have not talked with him at all, nor has he attempted to contact me in any way.
Okay. Ms. Blackman, any witnesses?
I have no witnesses, but I will also state to the court that my client was at first not sure she wanted to sign the relinquishment, but after further conversation and more explanation, it was something that she chose to do, even though it was not in my presence when it finally happened. So we had several lengthy conversations.
Ms. Anderson?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
Okay. I need to know from the department the specific grounds for termination upon which the department is relying to terminate the parental rights of Corey Mosley under 161.001.
Your Honor, with regards to both Mr. Mosley and Miss Alvarez were requesting under N and O, and Miss Alvarez were also requesting under K.
N and O, let me find O.
O is failing to comply with the provisions of a court order. I believe the only thing that they requested of Mr. Mosley was to make contact with the department, and he...
And to participate in the DNA test that was set up.
That's correct.
Several, 4, 5 times.
Okay. Okay. Anything further from anyone?
No, Your Honor, not from the department.
All right.
Oh, Your Honor.
Your Honor, on behalf of the ad litem, Ms. Hammond is in agreement with the department's request and believes it is in the best interest of the child.
Okay. Is the request to appoint, assuming the court terminates parental rights, to appoint the department as managing conservator?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Insofar as the respondent, Christian Alvarez, the court finds by clear and convincing evidence that she has, first of all, executed before or after suit was filed an unrevoked or irrevocable affidavit of relinquishment of parental rights as provided in section 161.001 subsection K of the Family Code. Court also finds that both Christian Alvarez and the presumed father of the child, Gordon Alvarez, have each, under subsection N of that section, constructively abandoned the child who has been in the permanent or temporary managing conservatorship of the Department of Family Protective Services for not less than 6 months. And further, that each parent, by clear and convincing evidence under subsection 161.001(o), failed to comply with the provisions of a court order that specifically established the actions necessary for the parent to obtain the return of the child who has been in the permanent or temporary managing conservatorship of the Department of Family and Protective Services for not less than 9 months as a result of the child's removal from the parent under Chapter 262 for the abuse or neglect of the child. The court also finds by clear and convincing evidence that termination of Christian Alvarez and Corey Mosley's parental rights be and they are hereby ordered terminated. The Department of Family and Protective Services is hereby appointed as the permanent managing conservator of the child. And I believe we have a review hearing required given the termination on July 2nd. Does that sound correct?
Yes, Your Honor. I just wanted to clarify. You said when you were stating the grounds, you said Gordon Alvarez. I think you meant Corey Mosley, though.
I did
Okay.
mean Corey Mosley, yes.
It's like Gordon Alvarez has already been non-suited. But yes, July 2nd is correct.
Okay. Yes, Corey Mosley, to make the record clear, that's who the court was referring to. The actually not just the presumed, but the adjudicated father of the child.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else?
No,
Anyone?
Your Honor. Not from the department.
No, Your Honor.
All right.
No, Your
Thank you all. Everyone have a good weekend.
Thank you, Judge.
Court's
Thank you. You
adjourned.
too.